Hello, Philadelphia! I'm Bruce Buffer. It's time for the Anthony Gargano Show!
Good morning. Happy Wednesday to all across the Delaware Valley. This is the Anthony Gargano Show. We're presented by TrueMark Financial Credit Union. Our good friends at TrueMark.com/PHLY to find out the credit union difference. All right, hump day upon us as we're looking forward to Sunday against Washington. And I was thinking about this thing, man. Posing the question, is this the best Eagles roster, the best Eagles team that we've ever seen, right, in our lifetime? And I keep thinking back to it. And when you go back to it, you have the Super Bowl team, obviously, right? 2017. You have the 2004 is the top 15 receiver, right? And who knows if it was just Devontae and he's getting fed the ball. But you look at that, then you got Saquon, who's the top 2 back in the league, if not the best back in the league. So right off the bat, your offense has the best skill people. If you put the quarterback aside and you say, all right, well, maybe Donovan was better than Jalen, you can't even look at 2017 because it was Wentz and then Foles had the magical run. You got the Randall, but this offense is way better than that offense. And then you got way back in the old days with Jaws. So this offense has to be the best offense. Donovan and T.O. and Westbrook was formidable with that line. It was great. But here's the thing. You got T.O. If T.O. and A.J. Brown cancel each other out, you're looking at Devontae and you got Pinkston. You look at the running backs. You go, all right, B. West was great, but Saquon is Hall of Famer. So as much as I love B. West, you got to give the nod to Saquon. Now, defense, obviously, 04 was a little different than 02. Like the 01 defense was really good because that was Trot. Trot comes back in 04. They were good. The freak, we forget that season, Javon Curse got hurt, right? So they lost a huge edge rusher that year, and the defense was really good. Obviously, you go back in time, and the Buddy years defense was great, like we said. 880, it was great. This defense with those kids, the young players, make it formidable. I mean, if you look at it, the Eagles are a top 3 unit in football today. So I don't know how this is not the best team that we've ever seen. They've won 10 in a row. They're going to be on pace. They could finish this thing 16-1. They may not need the last game, but they could finish this thing at 16-1 or 15-2. So we're off the bat record-wise, it's there. I don't know. I hate to have recency bias. Like yesterday, I love Jalen Carter. I absolutely love that kid. I think that kid is a superstar. Like, I'm watching him all year, and one of the reasons why this defense is so good, it's because he just wreaks havoc everywhere he goes. Like, every game, he's making plays. He's on the field the whole game. He's making plays. Like look what he did to Stafford. That was a single-handed piece where he disrupted Stafford after the first 2 drives. And we saw how good the Rams' offense is. So I keep going back to it, and I go, wait a second. Carter's the reason why that front works. We know they're thin off the edge, but he's so good in the middle. Yesterday I go, yeah, he's the best. And of course, it's a little recency bias. And I didn't mean to slight Fletcher Cox. Fletcher Cox was a great player. Now, he had a better line around him, right? He had ends. Fletch was incredible. This kid's going to be better. I feel better saying that. I probably should have said that yesterday, that Carter is arcing to be better. Fletch had an illustrious career. He had BG on one side. Like, you had a full line. This kid, are you kidding me? He's going with very thin on the outside. So I just love Carter. And I'm not trying to be recency biased, but I'm looking at this team. I'm going, this has to be the best Eagles team that we've ever seen. When you kind of go through each of the units and look at it, I mean, I don't see how it's not. All right. We got lots to get to today, and I want to talk to VG about this. NBA Cup, which I didn't realize yesterday when I said that, hey, what's on TV tonight? And it was the NBA Cup final. Like, are you kidding me? Like, oh, wow. It's the biggest just scam that everything in sports today. Nobody cares about the NBA Cup. Again, the whole point of the cup, I just don't even understand. It's the same teams. Look at soccer. Soccer, they play for these cups, but they play different leagues. So if you had an NBA Cup that involved European teams, right? Like you could you expand it, make it global, which is really convoluted and you can't really do overnight. That's one thing. But this is just the same teams. You're throwing all the teams in a jar, shaking them up, and going, here we go. So is there any reason why nobody cares about the NBA Cup? Like, as much as the marketing, they tried to get you to believe it, I think everybody saw through it. There's no interest in it. Zero. So we'll discuss that. Phils, what are we doing? Right? I think everybody's wondering what's Dombrowski got up his sleeve. Now I know it's early, right? And a lot of moves get made in February, right before spring training, and even during spring training, leading up to that point. But I think there's some angst. So we'll talk to Jim Salisbury coming up. Kevin Negandhi to get us all set. We'll talk to Birds, talk college football. It's a big playoff weekend. Our first playoff in college football. Friday night in South Bend, Notre Dame, Indiana, which is unbelievable. 3 playoff games on Saturday. So we'll talk to Kevin about that. Vinny Curry will join us at 10:30. Yeah, I got to just talk about Jalen Carter. I just need to talk about greatness. Like I'm watching greatness. The reason why I love sports is I just love individual talent, like the art of movement. And this dude is just a football player in every which way. He's nasty, he's tough, and he's great. So we'll talk about that with Vinny. Lots to get to. Good morning, my boy. VG, Violations Greg.
What's up, brother? How are you?
So is this the best Eagles team that we've ever seen? I mean, I try not to do the recency bias thing because yesterday I kind of, sometimes I get overly excited.
Mm-hmm.
And
sometimes?
And I could be, give you hyperbole. But I don't know. I look at this team now. You won 10 in a row. You're going to wind up being 15-2 or 16-1. I don't see them losing 2 games. And I don't know. I look at the roster. I got an elite receiver, top 3 in the league. I got elite running back, top 3 in the league. I have the best offensive line. I got incredible young players, perhaps the best young defensive player in Quinyon Mitchell. How is this not the best Eagles team that we've ever seen in our lifetime?
Man, I don't know. I know I heard Shady saying this yesterday. That 88 squad, that was a good squad.
It was a great squad. It really was. It was a great squad. And that probably was the best. Like, listen, we all go like, it has to end in the Super Bowl. But if you put that aside, because it's impossible. Teams are going to win. Something happens. Like, it took an act of God for them to lose in Chicago.
That was the only thing stopping them that year.
And it's hard to rationalize that. Like, an act of God, fog is what derailed that team.
Yeah, that was the only thing going to stop them.
The only thing I will say was offensively where they buttoned up enough to go through and win.
I like Randall, Chris Carter, Mike Quick, Keith Jackson, Keith Byers. I mean, Byers ain't in the same
They didn't
world.
have a run game, but Randall was their run game.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're not far. I don't think they're far off offensively. Saquon is just another stratosphere.
Saquon and AJ. I mean, Chris Carter was good,
Chris Carter and Mike Quick are a nice combination.
A great combination. I'm not at all diminishing. Quick was elegant, and Carter had the great sticky hands. And we know about what he wound up doing after Buddy let him go, whatever was going on in his life at that time. Chris Carter was a great player. My only point is, like, I mean, you could still argue that AJ and Devontae are better.
Yeah, I just don't think their heads like worlds better. They're better.
Okay, so slight. I agree. Slight better. Then you go
defenses.
No, the defense is better. The defense was the greatest defense I've ever seen in my life.
I mean, if you put the top 10 defenses of all time.
85 Bears.
Yes.
All right, living through the 85 Bears was the greatest defense I ever saw. But close second was the Eagles. There's been giant defenses with LT, right? The Cowboys had really good defenses. The Niners.
Steelers have had good defenses.
Oh, yeah, like back in the day. The Ravens of 2000, right? Incredible. That Eagles defense was, I mean, the line itself with Reggie, Jerome, Clyde, Mike Pitts. I can still sit back and look at it. The secondary was sick.
The secondary is Roynell Young, Eric Allen, Andre Waters, and Wes Hopkins.
Yeah. I mean, it was sickening. I mean, and it's Seth at linebacker. Like, Seth Joyner was a great player. It's funny. I look at him, and he's terrific as an analyst, and I love his demeanor, right? Like, he's all uber football.
Sharp dresser.
Right. Like, he was a great player. Like, he was a great linebacker. Like, playing with broken arms. I mean, as tough as they come. I mean, that defense was ridiculous. But the real issue is that offensive line was atrocious. And because the O-line was so bad.
Can you name them? See if you can go. See.
Was Salt on that team?
No, he was not.
I remember when I get Ron. Was Remington on that team?
Yes. Dave Remington is your center.
I do remember Remington. God.
There's a Matt. There's a David.
Matt.
There's a Ron and a Reggie.
Oh, Reggie Singletary.
Yep.
Ron. There's a Matt and
a David.
I know the Matt. What's the first
Darwin.
name? Matt Darwin. Yes.
David Alexander.
He sucked.
Ron Heller.
Ron Heller. He was the right tackle.
Yeah.
Ron Heller.
Yeah.
And he wasn't bad.
Yes.
But the left tackle, Reggie Singletary, was awful. David Alexander was the guard. He was terrible.
Yep.
Matt Darwin was the other guard. They were bad. They were a horrible group.
Right. So
and if you think about it, that line like derailed their offense.
Yeah, that was a problem. Randall was scrambling for his life half the time.
Yeah, like it ultimately everything else was shiny.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't, I mean, I don't know that they could say that they would have gone on to win the Super Bowl.
Like, I think this offense is better. Randall Slade at the quarterback position, I would take the 88 quarterback and tight end. I'd take Keith Jackson over Goddard, and I would take Randall over Jalen. Other than that, this whole offense right now is better. Defensively, I just think.
Yeah, I mean the front was the greatest front in the history of football.
And they were that good with some mediocre Mike Reichenbach and Todd Bell. Is he the other linebacker?
Todd Bell was a safety in Chicago. He was a safety. They brought him down to play outside linebacker. He was pretty good. He was light. For back then, your ends were 290. Right. It's not like today where ends are like 240.
Yeah.
Right? So Todd Bell was a little light at outside linebacker. Double nickels, Reichenbach. He was pretty good, and he had Seth at the other spot.
Yeah.
And it was different because
slot was a problem, right? Toast, was that Will Frizzell?
Izell Jenkins.
Izell Jenkins, that's it.
Izell Jenkins, Toast.
Or no, Terry Hogue. Terry Hogue might have been on that team.
Well, you had Wes and Andre as the safeties.
Yes.
Right? And then, listen, Eric Allen. We forget about Eric Allen.
Should be in the Hall of Fame.
He should be. Eric Allen was one of the great corners of our time.
Yes. Izell Jenkins, Terry Hogue, and William Frizzell were kind of the backup corners. They stink.
Do you remember William Frizzell's nickname?
No.
Lefty. I don't know why
Frizzell?
they called him
a baseball player.
Lefty Frizzell. Yeah, I have no idea why, but that's what his nickname was, Lefty Frizzell.
So both of those teams, 88 and now, are way better than 80.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, 80 was a really good team, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
With 88. And then you got 04.
04.
I mean, 04 O-line was great. Runyon.
Yeah,
Trey.
Hank Fraley.
The Honey Buns. I mean, they were great.
Yeah, it was a good offensive line.
You know,
Freddie Mitchell, Todd Pinkston, and you got Westbrook, you got T.O. Yeah, I actually still take the 88 offense with Randall, Carter, Quick. I know the O-line stinks, but
that goes back to the basis of football. Like the backbone of football is up front on both sides of the ball. That's what that's the genius of Howie. Really, you're laughing, but that's the
genius of Andy.
Yes.
That taught Howie.
Agree.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. And listen, everything, and I made this argument, was it yesterday? I don't know when I was talking about him, but everything started with Andy. When Andy Reid came in here, he gave them the formula as to how to win. And, you know, I agree, Howie learned, but look what he's put together. Like their line has always been good.
Yeah, I mean, is that Howie or is it Stoutland you?
Well, I mean, obviously, Stoutland.
You just give him anybody. He can make you an all-world offensive lineman, it feels like.
No, I don't believe that. I believe in the greatness of Stoutland. But, you know, I mean, listen, they find Mailata. Mailata's great.
Yeah.
And he was a gift.
Now Becton's great.
Right?
Yeah.
No, but like the foresight of seeing Becton, who was a tackle, and to put him in guard.
That's Stoutland, though, right?
Without a doubt,
Yeah.
Stoutland.
Oh, hey, great nugget in the chat by Jeff Crawley. Lefty Frizzell was the name of one of Buddy Ryan's favorite country singers, and that's why he started calling him that.
Oh, my God. Wow. Jeff
Crawley.
Yo, Jeff, you're the man. You come up with that? That's awesome. I never knew that.
That's so great that Buddy would just start calling him that, too.
That's is his favorite country singer. How great is that? That's freaking awesome.
I'm going to have to listen to some Lefty Frizzell tonight.
You have to put that on, right? That's unbelievable. That's so good. No, but that's what ultimately why this team is better than 88 is because of the O-line.
Yeah. Well, all right.
Right? I mean,
it's like a wash. You got one on offense is better, one on defense is better.
But how do you...
Is this offense that much better than that offense back then?
With the O-line, I mean, look, dude, 2 Hall of Famers. A.J. Brown's a Hall of Famer,
you're agreeing.
right?
You're saying this is the best.
I am. Listen, I'm trying not to be Mr. Reactionary and Mr. Recency Bias.
Yeah.
But tell me how it's not.
All right,
I got 2 Hall of Famers.
AJ and Saquon Hall of Famers.
Right.
Let's just say Q's going to be a Hall of Famer.
Projects down the line.
Yeah, we'll project.
Have some fun. All right.
Yeah. DeJean.
Great.
All pro.
Very good.
Yeah. But you got
Jalen Carter.
Jalen Carter. Yep. We'll say he's a Hall of Famer. You got Randall. Randall should be a Hall of Famer, buddy.
Listen, I always thought he should. Randall's one of the greatest misses of our lifetime in Philadelphia. Like, he should have been one of the all-time. Like, if you give the guy a coach and an offensive line.
You know, like Ted Plum? Offense coordinator.
Ted Plum. And coach height.
Oh, yeah. Randall's just ahead of his time a little bit, too, with the game. No one knew what to do with him offensively.
Well, it's true. Like, he comes in he's really the godfather of today's quarterback.
Absolutely.
There's nobody like, people talk about other guys. Randall is the complete godfather of today's quarterback.
Yeah, I still have never seen. He was so elegant, so fast with a cannon of an arm. He just flicked the ball 70 yards, it felt like.
He did. Watching him, and you're right, it was a flick motion.
Yeah, it was so smooth.
You know, and powerful. And he was long. Out of everything, they said that his release was too long.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, the guy could throw it a mile.
What's that legendary play? Is it Carson where he gets hit, holds himself up?
Yeah, Harry Carson, Giants.
Andrew, you
Monday
see if you
Night
could find
Football.
that just to take a look at that.
That was because so there was a game against the Giants on Monday Night Football. He's moving, scrambling. It looks like he's sacked. He does this wizardry act and then throws a touchdown pass.
Yeah.
And the next week in Sports Illustrated, because I'm still a nerd to this day. I was a complete nerd growing up, and I'm still a nerd. I got Sports Illustrated. I used to read it cover to cover. And I would save, all throughout the week, I would save it. And that week, Ultimate Weapon was the cover of Sports Illustrated. Randall Cunningham, the Ultimate Weapon.
Joe in the chat, Lane's a Hall of Famer.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, totally.
How many Hall of Famers on this team? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got like 6 Hall of Famers on this team.
6 potential, right? Like we're going to call it 6 potential Hall of Famers.
Yeah. Is Chris Carter in the Hall of Fame?
I think so, yeah.
His better years were at
Minnesota.
Minnesota. All right, so we got Carter.
Yeah, I can see him as gold
Reggie,
jacket.
Jerome basically should have been there.
Yeah.
Eric Allen should be there.
Randall should be there.
Yeah. I mean, it's close.
But what would you do? What about 04? Does 04 come close?
I don't think in my head it comes close at all. Westbrook
the shame
great.
is they win. If T.O. is healthy,
yes,
never gets hurt, I believe they win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I would be okay with that. I would believe that.
Right? Because I remember talking to Andy after this was like a month later. I wanted to do a story, and the story was, hey, now that you get to sleep on it, right, for a month and kind of let's go back to the game. And the one thing he said was, had I known that T.O. would be that good, I would have put him more in the game plan. Because he was limited in the game plan. They had limited plays for him.
How does he not know that, though? Through workouts and stuff?
You didn't know that they would be that good. Like, you didn't know he would be that good. I mean, literally up until that moment. Like, I remember during the playoffs, right before they left for Jacksonville, it was like, hey, look, he looks really good. Up to that point, he was out. And Rick Burkholder, like, they brought that hyperbaric chamber to Jacksonville. I mean, during the whole week, the 2 weeks, like when they left, I guess they left on a Sunday and they got there Monday to get there Tuesday. They rehabbed him the whole time. So he really didn't have an idea of how he would respond.
Right.
You know?
But you can't, that seems like, I don't know, at halftime, you can't be like, yo, he's good. Let's change this up.
Well, they tried to do some of that. But remember, if you go back to that Super Bowl, the Patriots had those 2 long drives in the second half to start the second half. That was the Spygate thing, right? Where they were dumping it off to the backs. And the Eagles didn't have any answer because first half, they stoned them. But the second half, that's when Brady checked down and, the kid White, remember the kid White out of the backfield?
Yep.
Like, that was a problem for them.
Well, Belichick was always good at those halftime adjustments.
Well, you wonder, I guess so.
Yeah.
Like there's some kind of thing. What's that?
I got the Randall play for you, by the way.
I always like seeing this play. The Randall.
You got
play.
a phrase? Let's say it. This is the ultimate weapon. When we think about greatness of the
what
Eagles,
you do when you have a quarterback back like Randall Cunningham, you let him roll out. You give him an option.
Watch this, Joey.
He's a great runner. Give him an option to either throw
Joey
or run the football.
Come on, man.
Third down, goal to go. Look at that agility. That's a right there. Jimmy Giles, the receiver.
Dude, how was it?
The awareness.
How ridiculous was Randall?
It was like a half a second. He got up and
But
fired.
the fact is, like, he's dead.
Yeah.
But not only does he spring up and then gather, he gathers up in one motion, throws a dart for a touchdown. I mean, that's not one of the greatest things you'll ever see.
Unreal. Yeah. That's one of my favorite Eagles plays of all time.
It is. It's so amazing.
I mean, also, there's the one where he's pretty much dead to rights as a Buffalo in the end zone, and he just heaves it to Fred Barnett.
91 yards, what was it, 98 yards, 99 yards, whatever it was.
Nuts.
That was just incredible. Absolutely incredible. Oh, my God. All right, we got lots to do. We got Jimmy Salisbury.
So we haven't finished. You're taking this team, and I'm taking
You're still taking 88?
Yeah. I gotta go 88.
All right, we'll rank them coming up a little later in the show. We'll discuss it. We'll bring it up to Kevin too.
Okay, that'd be good.
Kevin will love this, right? It's right up his alley. All right, coming up, Jimmy. I know you're upset because
I'm really fired up. I'm irritated with Dombrowski right now.
All right, so we'll go. Well, it'll be fun because Jimmy will talk you off the ledge. All right, so we got lots to get to. I'll tell you what. Let's talk about some of our friends. You want to tell us about a little True Mark action?
Yeah, man, because this program is super cool because I was a dope when I graduated high school and didn't know how to do anything with a checkbook or financial or anything. I still kind of am a dope. So TrueMark's got this program where you can get kids headed on the right track with some financial responsibility. And it's kind of like the ultimate playbook for teaching your kids how to be responsible with their cash. And it's called the free Greenlight account. It comes with the Greenlight app, and it's changing the game, helping kids and teens learn how to earn, save, and spend wisely. They can set up saving goals. They can track their spending, get an allowance, all that cool stuff right there in the app. And it's really cool. They also get their own debit card, which you monitor, and you can make sure they don't go nuts on it, and they can make their own purchases.
And buy a bunch of Chick-fil-A chicken sandwiches.
The kids love the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwiches.
My Anthony, oh my God.
Well, even the St. Joe's Prep guy, they do it.
Yeah.
And then we had the Bonner guy. He's like, if it was up to them, they go to Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a great sandwich. So.
Yeah.
It is a good sandwich, and this is a great program. So you get peace of mind. Your kids get the freedom to make smart decisions with their money. It's like coaching your kid through their own financial game. And for TrueMark Financial members, it's totally free. With the holidays right around the corner, now's the perfect time to introduce your kids to this Greenlight program. You can get signed up today. Visit TrueMark.com/Greenlight for more information.
All right. I like it. Hey, are your joints aching? Are your hands cramping? Is your back out of whack? Well, Rothman's got you. And Rothman Orthopedics, practicing specialized care has been their passion for over 50 years. That's right. High quality, compassionate, and affordable care is their mission. And all of it is rooted in research. Research leading to new treatments, better outcomes. Each Rothman doc is laser focused on their specialty: hip, knee, spine. Like you name the concussion specialist at Rothman. That was really eye-opening to me. It's amazing to have this team for your own body part. It's right here in our own backyard. So listen, you can take advantage of it. You want to cross over, right? You in your driveway. You want to cut between the cars. All right, play turkey bowl. You got it, right? Like they're going to keep you in play. I'm telling you, they are the best. They're Rothman Orthopedics. They specialize in you. And again, for more than 50 years, Rothman has participated in thousands of groundbreaking clinical trials, research with the goal of advancing knowledge, developing treatments, and improving outcomes for the benefits of their patients. Rothman Orthopedics specializes in orthopedics, and you visit RothmanOrtho.com/PHLY to learn more, and you can make an appointment today. All right, this portion of the show is brought to you by the Bet Park Sportsbook online casino app. It's going to be a busy one this weekend. You're going to be all over the app between college football playoffs and NFL Saturday and the Birds on Sunday. All right, now joining us, we love him. And I know you're frustrated, so we need him today to talk you off the ledge. He is the great Jim Salisbury. Jimmy Steaks. Good morning, Steaks.
Good morning. I feel like this is going to be one of those visits where Greg yells at me.
I would never yell at you, Jimmy.
Well, you're going to have to play Dr. Melfi, right? You're going to have to do that, Jimmy. I mean, hey, he's in a bad way, and there's nobody better that looks at this thing pragmatic. He won't listen to me, right? Like I try to be pragmatic about it and go, listen, long off season, you're trying to work through things, but he don't listen to me. He'll listen to you.
Well,
let me start off with this, Jimmy. My season ticket invoice increased dramatically this year.
Did it
and
really?
I don't want to run this back with the same group that we had last year. And I just saw Cody Bellinger, who could have helped us go for a 30-year-old mediocre arm. So I'm irritated.
Yeah. You know, the Phillies, obviously, they've added a bullpen arm. I understand your frustration, especially when you juxtapose it against what some other big market teams are doing and what the Phillies have done in some previous off seasons. It feels to me that, you know, their work in previous off seasons, I think it's kind of indisputable. It's created a very tight payroll, a high payroll, a tight payroll. So they are conscious of their payroll. It sounds like things are really tight. They also are being very protective of their prospects because their core is 31, 32, 33, Wheeler is 34. They're going to need guys to move in maybe as soon as next year when some of these guys start moving out of here. That said, so I think that's impacted their aggressiveness, put it that way. I still think they have things to do, and I still think they will do some things before spring training. I mean, I think they really need an outfield bat in a big, big way.
Yeah.
Left field, center field, I think they need pitching depth in the starting rotation, and I think they need another arm in the bullpen. I don't expect it to be maybe a big ticket arm, but they need another arm out there. They've lost 2 leverage guys in Hoffman and Estevez. I've heard in the bullpen they want to keep guys to 1-year deals. So maybe as the winter goes on, someone will present itself, of that in that description. But they are not in a position to take on big money. That's at least my read of it. Bellinger was going to be big money. I keep hearing Castillo, the pitcher from Seattle, he's big money. I mean, Bregman's big money. Arenado's. If they're going to take on, a player like any of those I just mentioned, there's going to have to be some creativity in terms of what money goes where, what money comes back. You might have to shed payroll. Somebody might have to eat some payroll. But I know this is not what VG wants to hear because,
You're making it worse, Jim.
He's impatient, but roster construction, your winter roster construction doesn't really stop right up until opening day, and your October roster construction doesn't stop really until the trade deadline. And I still think this team is good enough to play in October. They're going to have to play well and do things, play better than they did last year when they were basically a 500 team after June 11th. That was quite disturbing. But I still think the personnel is good enough to get to October. But that doesn't, eliminate the fact that they have flaws this winter that they need to address. And I think they're still trying. I know they're still trying to address them. It just hasn't happened fast, and it hasn't happened. I don't know if it's going to happen with sexy names, but, I will remind you, an opportunity can present itself at any time. The winter that JT Realmuto was acquired, the Marlins went into the offseason shopping him, and definitely going to move him in Cincinnati, the Dodgers, the Braves, the Mets. They were all the teams. February came around. They never could find a fit. All of a sudden, he's in there in the Phillies' lap. You never know what can present itself. I understand the frustration. I want to see them do more as well. I want to see them fill these flaws. I want to see them fill these holes. But I haven't given up belief that, they will. And but that said, I understand why you're frustrated, because this is a passionate fan base, and people are troubled by what they've seen the last 2 Octobers. They want these holes filled.
Hey, real quick, I just want to start back with when you brought up the bullpen. Would you have had any interest in Devin Williams?
Of course, and I'm sure they did. But I'm sure they talk about everybody. They have conversations with every team. I'm sure they've talked about Helsley.
I just didn't think the price tag was that big.
Yeah, I didn't either. But it's about who matches up. It's about who matches up, and maybe they didn't feel like there was a match there. The Phillies are not of a mind, where they want to deal their elite level prospects, and maybe their second tier didn't appeal to Milwaukee on Williams, who only has 1 year of control left. Who knows? When you're dealing with a player with 1 year of control, you're going to want to sign him to, like, I look at Tucker, and they had conversations about Tucker, but you're going to have to give up real premium talent to get him. And then you're going to want to extend the relationship with an extension, a contract extension. And, he's, the way things are going, he might be, a $400 million player. So they got Harper at $330 million. They got Turner at $300 million. They got Wheeler kicking in at $42 million. So he's 42, and 42 the next 3 years. I think their budget is really stretched thin because of some of the work they've done in previous winters. So I think that's what we're seeing right now.
Jimmy, that's it's so infuriating if that's the reason. When you have an owner who says we're going to spend stupid money at some point, you're in a division with billionaires spending and spending. You just brought in, I think, last month, $600 million in extra money from new investors. To find them to be not gun shy now at this point for money is deeply frustrating.
Yeah, well, that hasn't been spoken, from their mouths, but they are conscious of the $301 million fourth luxury tax. It can be quite punitive. They're conscious of that, but they're acting like they're on a tight budget. We could wake up one morning and they could make a big expenditure. Who knows? But right now it appears that there's these two forces: one where the payroll is at, the high payroll, and the desire to hang on to top prospects, that is impacting some of their aggressiveness here on the market.
That's another thing too, because it seems like, are they even really serious? When you hear that they offered Castellanos and Bone for Kyle Tucker, I mean, if they're just throwing those two guys out, who's going to take those two guys? It's not even like a real offer, it feels like.
I don't even know if I believe that. I mean, I don't.
It sounds so ridiculous.
That doesn't even come close to getting it done.
Right.
Maybe they were in a framework of something and there was more to it, but I just, when I saw that, I take a lot of things I see with a grain of salt about offers, because you don't know what money is being exchanged. You don't know that it's absolute fact. You don't know what other prospects are in it. I take all that with a grain of salt.
Why? I got to ask you a question, because I love Tucker. Why did Strohs move him? Like Tucker Alvarez, huge, like middle of the lineup.
Yeah. He's a great player, especially here in the Soto winter. People are looking at how they compare. I mean, he's not Soto, but he's awfully good. He's probably he might be like a top 10 player in baseball.
I thought the same thing. For some reason, he's devalued. Like I don't know. It was funny. We had David Murphy on yesterday. We were talking to David, and he's like, "Well, I want to applaud Dombrowski for not trading his prospects, for Kyle Tucker." But the way he said Kyle Tucker was like, I'm thinking to myself, well, wait a second. I like Abe Miller too. I think he's going to be really good. But Kyle Tucker is, I agree with you, a top 10 player in the game. I know he got hurt last year, but man, he can carry you over stretches.
No question. He's a great player. He was a high draft pick by the Astros, who were a team that benefited from tanking, really.
Yeah.
They get a lot of good players from that, but they have never been afraid to say goodbye to a great player over payroll limitations. When the price tag gets too high, they shake your hand and you're out the door. And I think that's what happened there. They're looking down the road with 1 year of control left before free agency, and they're thinking he's going to be awfully expensive, especially after what we've witnessed here the last few winters with, this winter with Soto and whatnot. And they were trying to budget for Bregman, which may or may not work. He may end up somewhere else. So I think all those things came into consideration. They were feeling their farm system is not strong in young talent, and they feel like they make a move there to get some young players in there, some major league ready young players, and that's the move they made. So I think any team that brings him in has to be thinking about extending him because of the prospect outlay, because he's young, he's a good player, and you want to keep him, but he's going to be expensive. The Cubs, they're a bit of maybe a different animal this winter, because I think you have a GM or a president of baseball ops that's kind of playing for his job.
Yeah.
And a lot on the line here in 2025, and he's trying to make that all work. And they were able to shed some money in Bellinger. But it has been an interesting winter, and it has been, different watching the Phillies, after the last few winters when they've really been so aggressive, just kind of watching them here stay in the background and kind of hover on the outskirts of it all. But I still think they could make a move on something here. Just got to keep an eye on it all.
It's weird because there was a report going out that they offered Adam Miller for Crochet during the middle of the season. And now they're not moved. They have no interest in moving him for anything, which is kind of confusing as well.
Yeah, I heard that name this summer, that Miller was on the table with Crawford for Crochet.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm the GM of the White Sox, I don't know how you patched that up.
That package, I'm like, wow, I'm shocked that the
maybe
White
he
Sox
got a better
didn't
deal.
take that
So
package.
Boston, he got 4 good ones from Boston, including 2 great ones, prospects, but they're prospects. They're not great major leaguers yet. We don't know what they're going to be. But, subsequently, I think Aiden Miller got moved up. Did he get to Double-A? I just think they actually fell more in love with him. I'm not saying he's a complete untouchable, but they weren't going to do it this winter. And I think the fact that, you look at the left side of their infield in the second half of the season, I think that shaped some of their thinking. The Phillies thinking Turner's defense was not good. There's always that thought of moving him to left field at some point. Bohm declined in the second half, kind of came back to earth. There were the whole rumblings about maybe moving him. So I think Miller became more valuable to the Phillies because of those 2 variables, at shortstop and third base at the big league level. He could be filling one of those positions. We could be talking next offseason about him getting ready to step into one of those positions.
I respect that. Yeah.
So I think that changed their calculus on his untouchability or his touchability or whatever you want to call it.
Let me ask you a question. Would you do Adames? And because Adames, right-handed bat, he's got some pop, and move Turner to left?
Well, Adames is signed. So, I certainly would have thought about it. We ended up getting an awful lot of money from the Giants.
That's right. My bad. I forgot he signed with the Giants.
I
thought he was still out there.
Think about, but on your bigger point, yes, I would think about moving Trey Turner to left field. And I'm sure they've discussed it, but when they recruited him, whatever you want to call, signed it 2 years ago, they recruited him as a shortstop. They brought him to town as a shortstop.
Yeah.
If he was going to play another position, he might have ended up in San Diego where he was offered more money, but he wanted to play shortstop. And I just don't think they want to back off that commitment after 2 years. But Dombrowski was asked about it again on last week at the winter meetings, and he said, you never say never, but it's not our plan right now. I could see it happening someday.
Yeah,
I do think because their roster is so, they got some age, they got high salaries, they got contract restraints. It's tough to move guys. That's one of the reasons we're hearing a lot about Bohm. He's easier to move than a lot of guys in a trade. But, given that inflexibility and the fact that they're quote unquote open-minded and you want to keep your options open, having that option of moving Turner to left field, I think would be an outstanding idea or option, because I think sometimes he takes his defense to the field when he's not hitting. So, I think left field will be a little less demanding on him. I think he's got the athleticism to do it. And all of a sudden it creates a lot of potential options for the rest of your roster. You can start moving people on. You can put Stott at shortstop. He played in the World Series as a rookie at shortstop. It's a good shortstop. Or you can go out and get a shortstop. But if you put Stott there, you can get a second baseman. So that would keep your options open. But they are resistant. And like I said, Dombrowski was just asked about this 1 week ago today.
I'm just trying to figure out a way. I need a right-handed bat with some pop.
It feels like
that is a good hitter. Not just, I need somebody that can, from the right side, I can count. Because I think you add one bat to that lineup and you change the balance of it a little bit, like Turner leads off or whatever. I think they're right back raking.
The one thing I would expect is a strong possibility of anything that's out there that you hear is Taylor Ward. They have a good record of doing trades recently with the Angels. It seems like they have a good relationship going on. And Taylor Ward's got 2 years arbitration left. He's got some pop, Tony. He strikes out a little bit.
I like Ward. And that's not a great home run stadium out there. So I like Ward, and he's a good athlete. That's somebody I would look at. I just think you need one right-handed bat to help it. And I think this lineup could get back to where it is. I expect JT to be healthy. I expect a better year out of him. Again, you could cross your fingers at his age. But, I do think that you add one bat and the lineup could just fall back into place and be a huge weapon again.
I agree, and I like Taylor Ward. That name was mentioned in July. I'm sure it's on their radar now. That might be that's a good name to keep an eye on. But I agree, they need a right-handed bat in left field. The need really is no different than it was in July when they acquired Hayes. And you can platoon Marsh and Rojas in center. But
Who's
You know,
left?
you mentioned
Jim.
you mentioned
Who's
how
left?
it all
Yeah.
falls in. You know what's going to really make this lineup fall into, and a right-handed bat is certainly going to help, but Bryson Stott's a good player. He's a better player, better hitter, better offensive player than he showed last year. Improvement by him. Less streakiness from Trey Turner is really going to improve this lineup. So you may see, Rob talked about it again last week. I actually asked him about the leadoff spot. I think they're more ready to make a change there. And you see Schwarber really improved against left-handed pitching last year. So, maybe you could stick him behind Harper in the 4-hole, risking two lefties back to back. And now they can bring in, lefties late in the game. But Schwarber's hitting them now. So that equals some protection for Harper. And so in that case, you might see Stott get some time at leadoff in spring training and maybe have an audition for that role. An improved Stott and a more consistent Trey Turner, might be a good-looking combination at the top of the lineup in front of Harper, Schwarber. So I do think some of their lineup improvement, and it was a top 5 offense last year. It's maddening their inconsistency and some of their swing and miss and the games when they leave everybody on base. I mean, honestly, a lot of teams have nights like that, but they could get some improvement from within, get a bat in left field, and they would be better. I still think they need, like I said, another bullpen arm would be nice. I'm not sure it'll be a big ticket item, but like I said, I understand everybody's frustration. Honestly, my biggest concern with this team is not the rest of the winter and who they bring in. It's health. It's health of the people that are already here because you're getting older. And I saw this a decade or more ago with the previous great team. They got north of 30 and they broke down. That would be my biggest concern. The people here need to stay healthy and need to play well. And if they do, I think they're going to be in it. And then it's about, the right tweak. And it's about, and I know people hate to hear this, but Dombrowski's right. It's about playing well at the right time.
I agree.
Profar's still out there. I mean, he's probably a mid. He's not that expensive. He doesn't strike out a ton.
No, I mean, bad third for them.
Yeah.
He had that one big year. He had that one big year at a good time. I mean, those guys, they might be out there a while. And, like I think of Estevez is still out there. If he comes and he's been out there a while, if it gets down to like
bring him back.
I
I still like him. I would bring him back. I have no problem with that. I need some power arm. I need another power arm anyway.
Yeah, guys still want 3-year deals. If it comes down a little bit, they may you may see some late action, but it just feels like they're laying in the weeds for those two big reasons.
I mean, no, I don't feel better. The Mets have loaded up, man. The Dodgers are loading up again, and we're trying to trade Castellanos and Bowman. I mean, Ken Rosenthal yesterday was on a podcast. Have you heard it, Jimmy? Basically saying Bohm's done. Like they're going to move Bohm at some point. That's what Rosenthal's feeling out there.
I heard that from plugged in people 6 weeks ago that Bohm's getting moved, no question about it. And now I'm not hearing it as loudly. I am hearing yes, there's a willingness and openness, and they think that he could have some value, but I'm not hearing anybody knocking down their door.
Right.
I read into as a reporter, you read into things. Rob Thompson went on the offensive last week and made a phone call to him and said, "Hey, look, we're not trying to trade you. People are interested in you, but I mean that sounds to me like the first move toward smoothing things over, just in case you're back in Clearwater." I'm not saying he won't move. The right thing pops. But to me, that situation is not going to shake out a little more until we see what happens with Bregman. Because Bregman's going to be linked or have a domino effect on Arenado. And now Arenado could have a domino effect on Bohm when it comes to who needs a third baseman. But, I heard that stuff from Kenny, and I'm a huge fan of Kenny, and he's a friend, and I have great respect for him. He's mentioned Castillo, Luis Castillo of Seattle. He's owed like over $100 million.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling it right now unless it's like a three-way and somebody goes here and somebody goes there and you eat this. And And but not sure what's going to happen to Bohm. I will say this: that there's definitely an openness and a willingness to move him. To try, they would like to change the mix a little bit of their ball club. And like I said, it's an inflexible roster. That's difficult to do. That's one of the areas with Bohm that you could possibly do it in. And their ears remain open. Would it surprise me if he moves? Not at all. Would it surprise me if he's back in Clearwater? Not at all.
Bohm, Crawford, Kaba. Seems like you get Taylor Ward for that.
Yeah, I can see that.
Make a real
I can see that. Jimmy, I got one last thing for you. You're a sportsman. You are a true sportsman. You know everything, all right?
Right. Yep. I don't know about that, but
is this the greatest Eagles team of all time? Now, I know you weren't here in the 80s, but you know about the lore of the Buddy defense and everything else. You
Anthony,
know about the Andy Reid teams.
What about, and I have great respect for Andy Reid. I mean, to get that team to 5 championship games, and he's been such a steady, consistent winner. Let me answer that by saying, are the 2011 Phillies the greatest team ever? Greatest Phillies team ever? They won more ball games than anybody. But we don't consider them the greatest Phillies team ever because they didn't win the big one. Got to win the big one, man. Got to win the big one. So the team that won the big one to me is the best Eagles team of all time, I would say.
You take a gummy this morning, Jimmy?
Take a what?
A gummy.
No.
Like a Swedish fish?
Yeah. Like a funky Swedish fish. Come on.
No,
I'm a big Nick Foles guy, but come on.
Oh, they won the. What's up? Hold on. So, okay, they won.
2011 was better than 08.
Yeah.
Yeah, but 08 is more fondly remembered. 08's what it's all about.
No, but 11, you had the 4 aces. I mean, look, do you run the freaking one stupid...
What's the question? The greatest team of all time or the greatest regular season team of all time? It's about winning championships.
Greatest roster.
I mean, like, if you see a team, listen, things conspire to happen. Like in 11, if they get past the Cardinals, there's nobody beating that team.
You don't know that for sure, but
I hear you.
I thought they would look.
So Jimmy, let me just clarify. You are also saying that Doug Peterson is the greatest coach.
No, I'm not. How do you get that out of that? How do you get that out of that?
Because he
didn't even call the play. He didn't even call the big play. Foles called the big play.
He gave the stamp of approval. He said, all right.
He was like,
Hey, I'm saying he's won one. No one else has. He must be the greatest.
Hey,
coach.
You know what? And hats off to him. But I think the Eagles are a great team with the defense. They got the good receiver, 2 good receivers, but that defense is really good. And they've balanced their attack. When you throw all fastballs, you're going to get smoked. I don't care how good your fastball is. You throw all fastballs, you're going to get knocked around the lot. When you have to have a diversification in your pitching attack. It's the same thing with a football offense. And I don't know jack squat about football, but I can tell you that.
Wish Estevez learned that.
I know.
So they have some diversity in their offense. They have a running back who has a chip on the good kind of a chip on his shoulder. In Barkley, he's out to show people. He's home. He's out to show people. Out to show the Giants. They have a good thing going. They have a really good defense. It appears that at times you watch the Eagles and you wonder if the head coach was a little over his head. It appears that they've embraced this guy.
Yep.
And they're playing for this guy like they play for Thompson, like they played for Charlie. So there's a lot of good things happening with the Eagles, and they very well might be the greatest regular season Eagles team of all time. You win 10 in a row in the NFL, that's hard, right? But it's still about raising that Lombardi trophy. I think that's what that's what sets you apart. That's what makes you immortal in Philadelphia. Because what's that saying, Anthony? Philadelphia loves a winner.
Yeah, I hear you. I feel you. I still think this. I think this team could be the best. Like roster set up Just like I think
be.
2011 was the best Phillies team I ever saw. I think 80 was close, but I still like 2011. Having those pitchers was, I still go, wow. I still can't believe they had that collection.
Well, here's an amazing nugget about the 2011 team. I covered that team. That pitching staff, unbelievable. And they really lived up to their billing.
They did.
You know, when you put it together, you're like, could be one of the best of all time. You look at like certain measurements, WAR, whatever, they are one of the best of all time. That team won 102 games. Do you know what happened after they clinched the division? They lost 8 in a row. They lost 8 in a row.
I remember. Yeah.
If they go 500 over those 8 games, they could have had 4 more wins.
No, I'm with you. I think ultimately what killed that team was they just were out of sync, right? And then a couple feel like, you know how it is. It's like we talk about baseball, and when you clinch too early and you're not playing, you're not bearing down, you lose a little something. I think that was part of it.
I think they may have lost a little bit, but the game where Cliff Lee had the 4-0 lead and couldn't hold it, and LaRussa was pulling all his crap on Jerry Meals, the home plate umpire. We could talk about this forever. There was a lot of gamesmanship going on. Cliff Lee stopped getting pitches he had been getting, and that changed. It was a game 2, the 4-0 lead. That was such a series shifter, tone shifter, whatever you want to call it. That's kind of where it got away. They got very tight after that. And then, game 5, one of the most memorable games I've ever seen. The night 3 lives really changed. Doc blew out his back that night and his shoulder. He wrung every bit he had left in his body. He was never the same. Ryan Howard, blew out his Achilles, was never really the same. Chris Carpenter was never the same after that night either. What an incredible,
he was done,
dramatic, almost like a passion play night that was.
And I still go back to there was the ball that Raul hit that it just
to right field.
Yes.
One little breath of wind and that's gone. And Chase hit one to the wall in center.
Yeah,
if he has good knees, that might be out. It's just baseball, man, is crazy.
And it was weird because that game was early October, and usually early October it's still hot, right? It's still warm. It was chilly that night, and there was a bit of a wind that helped knock that ball down.
It was such an unbelievable night. I still remember walking out of that ballpark, just being totally in disbelief that it was over.
It was as bad as 2002 when the Eagles lost to Tampa Bay. I had the same sinking feeling. I'll never forget the next morning. My Anthony was 2, right? Or 3 years, like he was less than 2. He was probably 2 years old. And I'm walking on South Street, pushing the carriage, and I'm talking to Charlie. And I was on the phone with Charlie for 2 hours the next morning, just rehashing the game. Like, how did we lose? Anthony, I don't know how we lost. I can't believe it. Like, and just rehashing the same thing. Raul's ball, Chase's ball, right? Like, how in the world, what happened? Like Charlie was out of his mind, we all were trying to grasp answers.
There was a missed cutoff man in the first inning that the Cardinals might not score if the cutoff man gets hit. But, you mentioned that the Eagles, was that the Jurevicius game?
Yeah, that was Jurevicius game, yeah.
I was at that game. That was the last football game at the Vet. I was helping out on the Eagles coverage at the Inquirer. And Anthony, it was one of the more memorable experiences of my career was walking down to the locker room. You had to go down those concrete ramps, and the people. It was so cold that day, and their feet sloughing against that cold concrete, and it was silent except for the sound of these feet,
the shuffling of the feet. There were zombies.
All you can hear was the feet. It was eerie. And it told an amazing story. That sound of the closing of a building, the loss, a terrible loss by the team, the disappointment of the fans, the sloughing of the feet. I'll hear that forever in my ears.
Well, I got real quick. I was on the sidelines doing a piece that year with Philly Mag, so I was like embedded with them. So I was actually behind Andy on the field with Butchie, the old security guy. And I'll never forget that game because the way it started, and they're up early 10-0, and everybody's like, let's go to San Diego. There was only 1 week before the Super Bowl. It wasn't 2 weeks. And you could hear after the interception, the Rondé Barber pick, I could hear the Buccaneers cheering on the other side of the field. It was surreal. Anyway,
I've had those experiences in twice in my career. One was when Stairs hit the home run in the Dodger Stadium.
yeah.
The place, 56,000 people went silent.
Yeah.
And all you could hear was the Philly suite about 3 doors down from the press box going crazy. And the night Layritz, 96.
I remember. Yeah.
I think it was the last game.
I was
or
at
one of the
that
last
game.
games ever played it. You were there. We were covering it together, that series.
Yep.
And it was the old stadium in Atlanta, Fulton County Stadium.
Yep.
And Jim Layritz takes Wallers deep.
Yeah.
And that place goes silent. All you could hear were the Yankees' wives down behind the dugout.
Yeah. Dude, you're right on. Man, I love it. I love just chopping it up. Jimmy, great stuff. And I think you helped VG. All right. I think you did.
99 days till opening day, boys. Get it right, Dombrowski.
I said it yesterday to somebody on Twitter, and of course everybody gave me a rash of crap. But this team is going to be defined in October.
Yeah.
And we don't even know what team is going to be in October yet because there's a lot of time to construct this roster. There's players can make improvements. You never know who's going to rise up and be a stud. That said, they need to fill some holes. They know that. I think there's reasons we're not seeing the usual aggressiveness, but the roster is still pretty good. Pretty good. They won 95 games.
Yes.
86 now if they stay like with the way the team's.
All right, relax. We got to go. Kevin's joining us. Stakes, I love you, buddy. Thank you, brother.
Kevin.
Negandhi.
He's a stud.
He is a stud. Heisman, like.
You put him on. I want to talk to him.
What's that?
I want to talk to him.
You want to talk to Kevin? All right. Let me take care of some business. And
He's a Chester County boy,
can
right?
we do Jimmy and Kevin? All right. Sit tight. All right. You get to talk. Kevin, you want to talk about, I'm so proud of him. Our area, I love him. I mean, hold on. We'll get to him. Let me just pay some bills. All right. Let's talk about the Bet Park Sportsbook online casino app. All right. This is a big weekend. We're talking about Kevin. We got college football coming up Friday night, South Bend, Indiana. Irish against the Hoosiers. Amazing. 3 games on Saturday, 3 playoff games on Saturday, a full slate of NFL, and Birds on Sunday. Like, you got 2 games on Saturday, full slate on Sunday. Eagles, it's going to be great. So that Bet Park Sportsbook app will be humming. Don't forget, on Fridays, every Friday, double the spread. That's right. They pick a game and they let you double the spread. So if you like a team, they're getting 6. All of a sudden, they're getting 12. So it's hit all year long. So check out betparks.com. Friday at noon, they give you the game where you can double the spread. So make sure you check it out on Friday. You can hop right on it. betparks.com's got all the details. Double the spread, and you can bet on everything, right? Like, you got all your casino games and all the props and everything else. Bet Park Sportsbook online casino app. You got to be 21. You got to be in PA, New Jersey, Ohio, Michigan, Maryland. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. Also, it's TikTok. All right? We're a week away from Christmas. Is that right? Man, my God. We're a week away from Christmas, the 18th. Oh, my God.
I got to head over to see. I haven't bought nothing.
All right. Well, I got it for you. If you're like us, somehow it snuck up on us, Golden Nugget Jewelers. You cannot go wrong with jewelry for your girl, your wife, whether it's your mom, your grandmom, whatever you're buying for, whatever woman in your life, jewelry can't miss. And especially the jewelry at Golden Nugget Jewelers. They got your diamond earrings, your diamond pendants, everything. They got it all. All right? It's your own. I've known your own for forever, 25 years. So go see them. You tell them I sent you. And if you're in the market for an engagement ring, you look no further than Golden Nugget Jewelers. It's where Philly gets engaged. GoldenNuggetJewelers.com.
What if I want a pinky ring? You might have a guy who wants a pinky ring. Yeah, your
got
will
it.
hook you up.
Yeah, well, your own's got you covered. All right. Now, joining us to join the conversation, along with Stakes.
Kevin and Steak is great.
So I'm so proud of this dude. All right. He's like a brother. Heisman, the biggest stage. He's the host.
I just tuned in to watch what he wears.
He's so eloquent. Let's welcome the great Kevin Negandhi to the program. Kev, let me tell this to you, buddy.
Gated up.
Hey, listen, I really appreciate that intro. You guys are way too kind, and to be in this 3-shot with Jim and Ant, like, and VG, not leaving you out, but like Jim is the best, man. Like one of the things I want to say this, we are so lucky in the area to have guys like Jim, Jason Stark through the years, like cover the teams we passionately love, and Jim's the best in the business, and it's an honor to be in this 3-shot with you, buddy.
Well, it's great to meet you. I've followed your career and love watching you and listening to you, and I know you're a Chester County boy, and I'm a longtime Chester County resident, and I do some hanging out in Downingtown, so feel like, get that little sense of pride for you.
Love that, Jim. And you know what? It was really important that I heard you on the back end right there talk about October. You are speaking the gospel here, because we don't win any championships in November and December. We've experienced that. We've had the thrills of, signing big name guys. It means nothing. It means nothing till we see the stars, especially a guy like Trey Turner, step up on the big stage in October. That's what this team needs. They need their stars to step up when they need them the most in October. And we haven't seen that, especially when we get into these fantastic matchups like we saw against the Astros, like we saw against the Diamondbacks, where people are fully aware what the Phillies are going to do, like we saw against the Mets. We don't match up well because we swing first before actually working counts.
Yeah, sometimes they're swinging in the on-deck circle, but the personnel. How many teams out there would take the Phillies personnel?
Yep.
Then you gotta play good at the right time, and you got to get some help from your front office with the right move here and there. I've covered this team for a long time, and I've seen many darker winters than this is. So I am not going nuts yet. I still feel a sense of, optimism, or that good things could happen, that it still could be it's going to be a fun summer. I'm not ready to give up and go down that road just yet, even though my buddy Greg would like to see me do that.
Well, I can name a couple teams who wouldn't take the Phillies roster. Probably the Mets, the Dodgers, Yankees.
Maybe not.
To be honest, I think the Mets would take our roster. I really do. I really believe that. They got hot at the right time. They started hitting really, really well, but they still have a lot of deficiencies. Listen, the only roster you look at, and Jim could weigh in more on this, that I'd be like, oh man, I wish I had their top 5 hitters. The Dodgers. The Dodgers they match up so well against whoever you throw out there. Good luck finding a way. But let's not forget, Freddie Freeman got ridiculously hot, like insanely hot at the right time. Let's not forget the Mets got hot at the right time because they had a bunch of grinders step up and had career final second halves of the season. It's not always going to play out like that. And then we had our grinders, like a Stott, fall apart. We had Bohm fall apart in the second half. It's not always going to be like that every single October.
Come on, Kev, you're not a little frustrated with this
offseason?
Clearly
I'm frustrated. Listen, I'm frustrated, but you know what I don't want? I don't want them to mortgage a bunch of things down the road. I understand that the window's getting smaller, but the trade pieces that they're discussing, I'm okay with. I just don't want to go fall in love. There is no perfect free agent out there where you go all in. If it's Shohei, you go all in. If it was Lindor a few years ago, I think you go all in. It was Trey Turner, you go all in. I don't think there's a guy out there. Bellinger's got a lot of warts, man. There's a lot of issues. There's a lot of reasons why he won the MVP, and now this is his 3rd team since winning the MVP. There's a lot of issues there. And the one thing the Phillies have done really well is they've hit big on some of their big name signings. they haven't done a really good job of filling in the rest. The muckers and grinders have not done a good job, and they haven't done really well during the trade deadline. It has bit them in the butt, especially trying to find an outfielder.
Their trade deadlines have been underwhelming the last couple of years, and that has hurt them. But I still, like I said, I like the personnel. I think Stott and Turner are real keys to this team in that there's more there from both of them. There's more consistency from Turner, and there's just more production and a better offensive player inside of Stott. He banged up a little bit last year. So I still think the guys that are here right now are going to define this team more so than the 2 or 3 pieces that they're still going to bring in. So that's all I got to say. I'm going to let Kevin take over. You guys can talk some football. I'm rooting for the Eagles. Kevin, it's great to see you and meet you. And
pleasure.
Really love watching you and proud of you, man. Because, Chester County.
Jimmy Steaks.
Steaks, that was awesome, Steaks. That was
You're
great.
You're the best.
Love all you guys.
Much love to you, man. God, he's great.
He is great.
Yeah,
you killed it.
You know what makes guys like Jim great? Well, it makes guys like you two great as well. We are not just squawkers and yellers and screamers. There's actual thought, reasoning, and then when you sit down and after you get through that emotional anger and angst, it's like, it's Ray Dininger's the perfect example.
Yeah.
Like, hey, in the end, you're upset, you're mad, you're angry, but you're going to take a step back and look at it the right way. And Jim's one of those guys. Like he nailed everything. Like he just made me feel better about where the Phillies are. And he's 100% right. This comes down to, can Stott find a way? Can Bohm find a way? Can Turner find a way to get on base? I don't want home runs. I want you to get on base, and I want you to apply pressure to the defense by potentially running. And that's what we need, right? Because we've got the boppers.
Yeah.
We just need to get these guys on base.
All right, let's talk football. All right. Yeah, I'm jonesing. There's so much. All right, before we get to college, because I got to go through, there's a million college football things, and you slayed it Saturday night. Slayed it Saturday. It was incredible. All right? I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, buddy.
We had this conversation, and I'm trying not to be like the recency bias thing, but I want you to think about this. This team is going to go 15-2 at worst, maybe 16-1. They got the best Hall of Fame receiver, a Hall of Fame running back. They got some young, incredible talent on defense, a Hall of Fame right tackle. Is this the best Eagles team of our lifetime?
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
I'm just asking.
Don't do that. No, we're not going to do
that. Just look at the roster.
It is, I'll tell you one thing.
Like, I don't know, in the end, like in 2011, that was the best Phillies team I ever saw, but they didn't win. So the end result is the end result. And you can't say anybody's a lock to win anything in the NFL, right?
Yeah.
Look at the Lions.
Yeah.
Decimated by injuries. But I'm just looking at this roster and this team itself on an island.
It's the best defense that we have seen probably, I would say, since the Bud Carson years in the early 90s. Like that's I will go to that. And I can't believe I'm saying that a year after what we saw, witnessed, and experienced of a year ago, right? This comes down to coaching and the talent that Howie put together now coming together, right? So I would say it's the best Eagles defense that we've seen in nearly 3 decades. And if I'm wrong, if there's another team that you want to bring up, please do, because I'd love to see it.
No, I came to the same conclusion. And then on offense, their O-line is spectacular. Yeah,
it's unbelievable. You replace a sure first-time Hall of Famer at center, and they don't miss a beat.
Running back, who's been better than Barkley?
You're 100% right. When you look at the talent, this is the best offense we've seen. Talent, best offense we've seen. Yes, best offense. But
I mean, just saying.
I can't go.
I'm just listen. you have to throw out whatever happens from in the playoffs because I mean, just looking at the collection of players, that's all I'm talking about.
Yeah. Collection of players. You can make a damn good case that, like, when you're playing Madden, that this 2024 team will come up and you're like, okay. And this is like, hey, 2 or 3 years from now, I want the 20 Eagles because of the roster, right?
Exactly. That's all I'm saying.
It's the best offense. We've seen some offense. It's the best offense, I think, in the history of the Eagles. Weapons-wise, offensive line-wise, yeah, without question. I will say it's the best defense I've seen in 3 decades in Philadelphia.
I mean, it sounds like you agree with me. So, I like it. All right. I got a slew of college football stuff for you. One, are the bowl games dead?
You can make a case, yes. But I will also say the ratings for these bowl games are insane. I
like them, so I don't want them to go away.
If they don't rate, they're not on the air. But let's, for example, I'm wearing a Gators thing representing my wife. The Gators basketball team undefeated. They won last night as well, and top 7 team in the country. Yeah. They got a bowl game this weekend. The bowl game now means so much to Florida specifically because of the momentum that Billy Napier built in the final month of the season. Yeah. And you have DJ Lagway, and then you build in these 15 extra practices. So basically it's a runway to 2025 for a program like Florida, right? It's a nightmare for teams like where Florida State was a year ago, right? Yeah. It's a nightmare situation for them. It's a nightmare for like a team like Ole Miss. Yeah. Where they have playoff expectations, you have a roster, you have a quarterback that's trying to, essentially think about the NFL and like all that talent, who's going to come back to play in that game. So it just depends on kind of your vantage point and how you're looking. It's also a nightmare that the transfer portal's open. And that's because of the semesters and the trimesters not lining up. It's an absolute nightmare that you don't know. I mean, look at Marshall. Marshall had to forfeit their bowl game because the coach is gone and the entire team went in the transfer portal.
I mean, Cal is going to go without its quarterback tonight.
Yeah. So that's where that plays into.
Can they push it back? Is there a way to push the portal back? Like, there's got to be a way timing-wise because things don't line up. Like, you got to get through the playoffs and the bowl season to open this stuff up.
I agree, but Boog and I had a long discussion about this Thursday night. Andre Ware, me, and Boog, we were getting ready to do the college football awards, and we were talking about who's in the portal and who's not. And Boog brought up a great point. He goes, the problem is, Kev, like, for example, if the way these semesters are rolled out, like Malik Murphy at Duke, remember what he did a year ago? Now he's in transfer portal again, but he was the backup at Texas, right? And they were getting ready for the playoff. Then he went to portal, and people were like, one of the reasons why he had to hit the portal is he had Duke on his mind, and Duke has a different semester than Texas. So if he didn't get into the portal and get to Duke, he would have been enrolled in the spring. So that's what, and I was like, that's where it makes all sense, right? And that's where the problem is that they're not all lined up, all these schools on when they start school in the spring. So some of these guys have to go, and they've got to figure it out. And also a lot of this is musical chairs. Like there's an opening, you want to go to a school, you're getting money, you got to do it. Perfect example, Florida State and Miami, what they had to deal with last year, right? They had to figure out what they were going to do with the portal quarterbacks. And specifically, Florida State had the opportunity to get Cam Ward. Cam Ward was looking around, dipping his toe on the NFL as well. They don't start evaluating like, hey, do you think of it? Because you don't declare till January if you want to go to the NFL draft. Cam Ward was still trying to figure out his evaluation. And he was trying to see if he can get invited to some of these all-star games. And the vibe that he got back from NFL evaluators were, you're not ready. You got to go back. So he decides to come back. And at that point, Florida State had to decide already what to do.
Right.
So they went, Uyunglele. That blew up in their face. They give him all this money. And then Miami's right there for Cam Ward. So all these factors play a role. NFL, when enrollment in college football, and also is your team looking for a quarterback, or are you in the playoff situation?
See, that's why there's got to be an embargo on movement. And, the universities all have to be on board to allow kids to enroll, even if their semesters are wonky. They have to allow the enrollment process for the athlete. That's the only way it's going to work. And then there's an embargo on movement, and there's a firm date, and it's got to be after the playoff, and then everybody can move.
That's why you need a commissioner in the sport.
Yeah.
Because it's the wild, wild west, and it's run by, power conferences, and specifically 2 power conferences dictating a lot of things. And then the other guys are not happy about it, and they're ticked off. And that's why this sport sometimes we love it on Saturdays, and it's sometimes in between it's a mess.
All right, let's go. This is going to be an epic weekend.
My God.
I cannot wait. I'm so excited. So first, let's go Friday night.
Yeah.
Friday night in South Bend. The ratings are going to be ridiculous. Ridiculous. How do you match it up, man? I mean, this is an interesting game.
Notre Dame is fantastic ever since they lost to Northern Illinois, right? And a big reason why is Riley Leonard's gotten comfortable, but Marcus Freeman's done an incredible job. This defense, man, they are hunters, man. They led all of college football with 5 pick sixes. This team just loves to hit. A handful of guys in that secondary and their linebackers came back. They came back. They could have gone to the NFL. They came back for unfinished business. I really like Notre Dame's defense. Riley Leonard could be the difference maker on how far Notre Dame can go in the playoff. But I think that they're gonna be a nightmare for Indiana because of their defense, and it'll be potentially a low-scoring game. And I'm kind of curious about how Signetti handles it, because that place is going to be rocking. It's going to be cold. Indiana, obviously, it's an in-state rivalry in the sense of, they know each other, and it'll be fascinating to see how that crowd responds and reacts.
And I'm curious because Indiana had so much trouble with Ohio State, right?
And Michigan in the second half.
Yeah. Moving the football.
Yes.
And Notre Dame's defense is better than both of them.
Boom. You nailed it. 100%. And that's why I think it's going to be low scoring for Indiana. Can Riley Leonard, though, here's the one thing that Notre Dame cannot afford. They cannot afford to keep Indiana in this game.
Yes.
Because let me tell you, in the fourth quarter, if it's a close game, oh my gosh. That's where I think I would give Indiana the edge, just because the environment. Riley Leonard's got to get off early. They've got to have their running game rolling, which I think they will, and I think they potentially win this by double digits in the second half.
All right, let's interrupt this Irish love fest here. First of all, the building's going to be half Hoosiers fans.
No.
The smartest guy in the building is Signetti. And this defense that you guys are saying they're the greatest. Who do they play? The best teams are Army Navy. I watched that game this weekend. They barely look they're like high school offenses. Army Navy, come on, who have they played?
Well, early in the season, and I know it's early, they played Texas A&M. I think Notre Dame. It's not their fault that USC was not their fault that Stanford is But they handle their games, man. They win whoever's in front of them. And here's a good test. What they did to Navy. Remember, Navy came in with a whole bunch of buzz, and Navy had 6 turnovers that day. They punched them in the face. And you're talking about a very physical team.
Yes.
Very physical.
Yes.
Keep in mind, when you watch Indiana, if they try to run a couple trick plays, because Signetti will open up the playbook. Just watch that to keep that defense kind of off balance.
All right.
Notre Dame's strength of schedule 60th.
Okay, well, again, like Kevin said, you can only play who you play.
I know, you guys are acting like they're the Eagles.
Historically, they play a tough schedule. So,
go Hoosiers.
All right.
So, VG, next week, whoever Notre Dame plays, we'll have the same discussion again, and maybe we're different. But I think matched up against Indiana, it's a different story.
All right. The Penn State draw was awesome. We talked about it. It was very favorable.
It's unbelievable. I was talking to somebody that's really in the know, and we were breaking down the draws, and he told me specifically, he said, Kevin, before the draw came out, I said this, and he's an analyst. He's like, the 5 or 6 seeds and the 2 seed have the best runway to get to the championship. And he goes, and when Penn State's draw came out, he's like, I couldn't believe it. And I was like, you're right. You're 100% right. Like Penn State's in a position that James Franklin, man, you better at least find a way to get to the semifinal the way this
have
is
to.
all.
You gotta. Now, can SMU stress them at all?
Yeah, I think SMU can because of their speed. But man, it's going to be colder than they've ever been. There's a bunch of Dallas kids, man, and they played in Charlotte in 37-degree weather when they played in the ACC championship, and you could tell that first half they didn't want to be there.
No.
So it comes down to how Penn State handles their offense. They've got to score. I think Aller was phenomenal. I thought Aller played so well in that Big Ten championship game. So go figure, it was the defense that kind of let you down because they couldn't handle the speed of Oregon.
Right.
And Oregon had 3 wideouts. I mean, Tez Johnson changes everything.
Tez is ridiculous.
So let's see if Penn State can kind of make up for that over the last 2 weeks, getting ready for an SMU team that's pretty fast.
Hey, you know what's interesting is you brought it up. It's going to be frigid. We're in here, it's going to be 27 degrees. It's going to be cold at State College.
It's going to be awesome. I love it. I love it. I hope next year they go to the second round. You got to host too. This is what it's all about. I've always been jealous of the FCS experience. Always.
Yes.
Like when you're watching Montana State, and South Dakota State or whoever was playing, Idaho. And it like you could see the snow on the side and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, I want this. I want this in the FBS. So can't wait.
So Clemson, I still can't believe they won because, I mean, how does Texas not crush that team? And what are they going to do with Arch and Ewers? Because, I mean, Ewers let him down last week.
Yeah, he can't, man. He can't move. And if you know that it's a close game, then you send the blitz, right? So I hope, I think Stark's one of the great offensive minds in all of football. And I think he'll watch the tape and realize they're going to have to put, especially in the red zone, they're going to have to put Arch in the game. You're going to have to. Or if it's like a 4th and 1. You know what? Dan Orlovsky and I were on the air yesterday, and he picked the 2 teams that I think that could win it all that play in the first round. That's Texas and Ohio State. Roster-wise, I think both those teams stand out above everybody else, right? What the difference is going to be is how he uses Arch. They should have won the SEC championship. If he would have used Arch, I think they would have won in the second half. And then how I likened it when he brought that up is the 2006 Gators team that won the Natty, right? That they had Chris Leak, and then you brought in Tim Tebow. Yeah. And you're going to have to do that because Arch can run. Arch can do all the things that Ewers can't mobility-wise.
And then you mentioned it, Ohio State, Tennessee. How's this matchup? Wow.
And BG.
Good old Rocky Top, Tennessee.
Let me tell you, this is going to come down to the first quarter because the last time that team was on the field at home, they were embarrassed by Michigan. And that quarterback looked scared out of his mind. And Chip's play calling was not great. This will come down to specifically, can they find a way in the first quarter to take a lead? Because if they're down to Tennessee early, it's going to be a tough environment for Ryan Day, and everybody's going to get tight, including his quarterback. The other thing that cannot happen if you're Ohio State, you cannot say, oh, you know what, we're going mano to mano with our lines, and we're going to run it. Tennessee's defensive front is unbelievable.
Yes.
And let me tell you, the game plan that Ohio State had against Michigan made no sense, especially with Will Johnson out, one of the best defensive backs in the country, and you have all these weapons, and then we're going to run it. Shoot, Michigan was like, you're playing right into our hands, right? I don't care. And Ohio State's line is beat up. They're not that great. They're not that talented. You have to pass the ball and use Jeremiah Smith. That's what you have to do.
Have to. I couldn't believe how woeful Chip Kelly's game plan was. I might have enjoyed it immensely, but I mean, it was ridiculous. I keep going. I'm watching that game going, what the hell is he doing?
What the hell
why would you play against? Why would you try to run it against that? So spread him out and throw, dude. Like what?
For Jeremiah Smith, the best player on the field, who's a freshman, for him to have 2 touches in the second half,
criminal.
Criminal. And you know what? It's the psychology of that Michigan-Ohio State game now over the last couple of years where it's like they baited Ryan Day. And Ryan Day's like, I want to prove that we are tough. When you look at that roster, you're playing right into Michigan's hands.
Yes.
And right now, you're playing in the Tennessee's defensive front if you try to prove that you're tough. No, man, you got better players on the outside. Get those guys the ball. And
I think Tennessee's live, man. I'm with you.
I like what I'm hearing.
Let me tell you, if Nico, if they run Dylan Sampson and he can run consistently, and then Nico can hit on a 20 to 30 or 40-yard explosive play in that first quarter, the confidence you will see on both sidelines, Tennessee and Ohio State, will be dramatic. And we all know they're 18 to 23-year-olds, and that changes the entire aspect of that game. So that first quarter will tell us a hell of a lot about where this game's going to go.
I love it. Hey, last thing, Michael Vick, head coach, Norfolk State.
Yeah.
Wow.
Really interesting. Well, but you say why, right? Well,
no, I just said wild. He's
never
it is
coached. Wild. It's wild. But I think this is a trend. Like Deion starts it, right? And if you think about it, I mean, it's smart. Like you get a draw, you get some NIL money, and then the next thing you know, as long as he surrounds himself with guys that know what they're doing, you got a shot.
Yeah, and it's not just, I mean, Deion, what he did was incredible, absolutely incredible. But let's not forget Eddie George.
Yeah,
at Tennessee State just won his Conference Coach of the Year award. They were 9-4. They lost in the first round of the playoffs, but he led them to the playoffs in the FCS. Michael Vick is a god in that area. Newport News is right next to Norfolk State. Same area, same region. He is a god in that state. He's a god in that region. You don't think Vick's going to get a couple guys? Like he's going to get a couple dudes that want to play for him, that want to play around him and with him. That's the storyline to me. Like he's going to get guys. I'm open to it. For Norfolk State, they've got nothing to lose. They're FCS. They're bringing in a hero from the area. Why not? You're bringing in buzz. I did an on-camera reader on SportsCenter last night. You think I'm ever going to do that for Norfolk State? I did it because of Michael Vick.
Yes. Wow.
Right? Like, and in the end, that's what this is all about. Recognition. Colorado look at what their social media, look at all their Instagram, all this. Colorado was on the freaking map all of a sudden, a team that had won one game the previous year. You bring a Deion in, and it just changes the entire buzz of the campus and how they're viewed. This is what it's all about. You're generating buzz. Now you got to have substance, but in the beginning, Norfolk State got what it wanted. They got an icon in the area, and they got on SportsCenter, and people are talking about it. You wouldn't have asked me about the hire at Norfolk State if it wasn't Michael Vick.
And you know what's funny? Like people ask, all this money and everything else. Listen, it translates into enrollment. Like
yes.
My nephew Joseph, right? He all the colleges that he applied to were all football schools. He's like, Uncle Ant, I want to go to football. And he just goes, I just got accepted to Penn State. I'm so excited. Like, I can't wait to go to a game. Like, he's got they're all football schools. It was like, Tennessee, I think, was one of them. Like, Yeah.
To your point, I'll bring this up about my alma mater. 10 years ago, admission, like just to get the Temple, like ridiculous. You're on game day. There's buzz around the area. Everybody's talking about at the time, and dramatic decrease now because the football program. So people talk about, hey, football doing this. Football increases admissions in the sense of applications. Applications cost money. And then you've got to obviously trim it down. But like, look at Alabama over the last 15 years. Dramatic increase in admissions. And then you generate that money when I say applications for admissions, right? That's at all these universities. It's all about finding a way to be mentioned. Oh, I want to go there. I wasn't thinking about this. Now I want to go there. To your point about your nephew, he's not thinking about these schools if they don't have big time programs or not on game day or generating buzz every single Saturday. Like that plays a humongous role in transforming a university and generating income.
Yeah, here's some numbers for you. When Nick Saban got the job at Alabama, enrollment was 23,800. It grew to 40,000 during his tenure.
Boom. That VG. And guess what? Now you're building buildings. Now you're expanding the entire stadium. Now you could do all the things that you're saving sports program. It changes everything. Your school suddenly becomes a destination.
Yep.
It's so cool.
Hey, speaking of destinations, can I just hop in for a little like off the radar? I learned that you did some time in Kirksville, Missouri.
Yeah.
Population 17,530 at KTV OTV. What was Kirksville, Missouri like?
Oh, man. So now I had just graduated from Philadelphia at Temple University and staying in North Philly. And then I remember driving out there. They had actually one of my closest buddies used to be the sports guy there at Temple. I graduated a year after him, and he was the sports director out there first. So we were market 199. There were like 25 markets at the time. It was there's a lot of cornfields. I originally lived in Ottumwa, Iowa, which was 60 miles away from that, and I lived on a hill. Down the hill was a pig farm slaughterhouse. And let me tell you, the smell at night was so random. And then the drive from Kirksville to Ottumwa, Iowa, half of it was like 45 minutes where you couldn't see anything. And it was just Mennonites living there and meth houses. Like they were like this was back in the late 90s. So I felt like I was in the middle of Breaking Bad. It was amazing though. I will tell you though, guys, like it was the first job and first experience for me that I think I needed, that everybody I think in TV needs. You make mistakes on the air. You're shooting your own video. I lived in a town that had 3 colleges. So we had fun. I was 23 years old and I had a blast shutting down the bars every night after doing TV. So we had a hell of a lot of fun. I was there for 13 months. They were super kind to me, especially early on when I was trying to figure out TV. But man, there were a lot of stories. It's amazing. I spent my shortest time in TV there, and I have some of my fondest memories of Kirksville, Missouri. And training camp, I got to cover the Rams.
Wow, so sure. Yeah.
I went to Home, Illinois to cover the Rams. Dick Vermeil was the head coach. They had Orlando Pace was there. Kevin Carter was there. And literally right after we were done covering, like the team, Trent Green got hurt. And they had an unknown guy.
Wow. Kurt Warner.
So it was wild to cover that team. And then there were a handful of games I went to Arrowhead to cover the Chiefs, and they were pretty good. Marty Schottenheimer was the head coach. Rick Gannon was the quarterback. So it was fun, man. I learned a hell of a lot. I covered a lot of things. I shot all my own video, and I got to try things on TV. So great experience. Lot of memories.
That's awesome. Brother, you're the best, man. We love you. What's your schedule Saturday?
So Saturday, I'm going to be. We got 4 of the games. ABC College Game Day is doing the Friday night game. They're doing the Saturday night game, and Boog and I are in studio for the TNT games. Now they're actually ESPN produced everything, outsourced to TNT. So you'll see me on TNT for the first time in my career.
Wow.
But I'm going to ESPN ABC studios, and so we got the Penn State SMU game, and we got the Clemson Texas game. So you'll see me in studio with that. My man, me and Booger McFarland chopping it up. So looking forward to that on Saturday.
Well, you're going to be great. I will be watching as I always do. You know that.
Appreciate you.
You're the best, buddy. Thanks,
all right,
pal. There he is, the great Kevin Negandhi. That's good. That's interesting. We all had to do that. Go certain places away from Philadelphia to make our bones. I mean, it's paying your dues. All right, coming up, I can't wait to talk to him. Vinny Curry, all right, our analyst, our Eagles post-game analyst. And I got to talk about, I can't wait to talk about Jalen Carter with him because you know how I feel about this guy. I mean, I
think you like him.
Yeah, I think he's ridiculous. All right. So can't wait to talk to Vinny coming up next. Lots to do. Let's talk about some of our friends, shall we? What about some Rite Aid?
Oh, you want to talk about Rite Aid? I love Rite Aid. Yeah. I got my girls, Marge, Ruthie. So Rite Aid's got all the stuff you need for your household stuff, but they also got what you need for some vaccines. It's winter. Winter's coming, so things are out there. Pneumonia. You don't want pneumonia. Whooping cough. Chicken pox. Shingles. My aunt right now has got RSV, and she's not having a great time with it. It's a respiratory tract virus out there. So Rite Aid's got immunizations for RSV as well. What do you do? So you might have a lot of questions like, am I up to date? What do I need? What's good for me? The Rite Aid pharmacist, man, it'll walk you through it. There's no question too small. Just give them your health history. They'll discuss all your concerns. You can walk in or schedule an appointment Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. State, age, and health restrictions do apply. Ask a Rite Aid pharmacist for more details, and also check out that shingles vaccine because I hear that's not good either.
Here you go, RiteAid.com. I like it. All right, let's talk about Parks Casino and give the gift of entertainment for Christmas. That's right. How about some headliners, gift cards for concerts and comedy at the Excite Center at Parks Casino? And you got all the great food stuff like Liberty Bell Beer Garden, the Parks Grill Steakhouse, all you name it. Parks Casino, this is how you win. All right, here's the lineup. Tickets on sale now for these headliners. Larry the Cable Guy, May 10th.
Get her done.
Second show for comedian Ron White on March 20th.
Can't fix stupid.
SNL's Colin Jost returns 2 nights, Parks Casino, March 14th and 15th.
Well, Scarlett, you look beautiful tonight.
Country artist Cole Swindell, February 7th.
Heads Carolina, tails California. Maybe she'd fall for a boy from South Georgia.
January 18th, the reggae sounds of Shaggy.
Because she caught me on the counter.
Wasn't me.
January 24th, actor Richard Kahn from Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Whoa, Larry, whoa, hey.
February 8th, Jerry Cantrell, Alice in Chains.
I'm a man in a box.
March 8th, magician Michael Carbonaro, The Carbonaro Effect.
Yo, where'd my shoes go?
Country star Lee Brice, March 22nd.
There's a rumor going around about me and you.
ParksCasino.com to buy tickets for all shows. Parks Casino. This is how you win. You got to be 21. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, joining us now. Very excited. He does such a great job on our PHLY Eagles postgame show. He, of course, the great Vinny Curry. Good morning, Vin.
Man, what's up, man? What's up,
What you
y'all?
doing, buddy boy?
I'm inside the gym, so sorry if y'all can't hear me like that.
You look great, buddy. You look great. I got to start off because I'm so excited about just Jalen Carter and watching his evolution become one of the dominant players in the game. He doesn't come off the field. He's a game wrecker. Can you just tell us from your expert eye the greatness that we've seen from Carter?
Oh, man, you see potential. Sky's the limit for him, man. You look at somebody, you ever draft something, you want that person to be who you know he can be. That's what we're seeing. We're seeing right before our eyes him, just come into this role of, really taking over a defense in the game, man. And him and his whole crew, honestly, like, I seen something on Twitter this morning. Like, I see like the Eagles is doing something, but like with the camera crew, with all the kids. I can't wait to watch it, man, because I'm curious myself.
I look at him and go back to the Rams game, and you saw how dangerous the Rams offense is, right? And he single-handedly he was disrupting Stafford, right, coming at him. And there's nothing quarterbacks hate more than up the middle pressure. And like he's always there. And the fact that he doesn't come off the field is to me, it's amazing.
Man, and it's just it goes to show you that how much he's taking this craft serious, because from last year to this year, last year he had a great year as well, but from this year, just a complete dominance goes to show you, the mentors, the coaching staff, that he has, and the resources that he has, that he's really taking his game to another level.
And I loved, the other night when somebody went to go pick up one of the Steelers, and he slapped his hand away. Like, don't do that. You ain't picking them up. Like that mentality. He's got that mentality. Like,
you know what it is? You know what it is, bro? That's that Kevin Garnett. You know what I mean? That's how KG was. Like,
yes.
KG was, if you was on the other team, like watching Kevin Garnett grow up, basketball ain't like that no more. But he got that grit in him. Like, man, we ain't helping you up. I help my guy up, though. You know what I mean? And,
yes.
It goes to show you the identity of the whole entire team is like that. And that goes to show you that if you go back a couple of weeks, even with, when Nick was like be fired up like that, it goes to show you that from him standpoint of view, it's trickled down to that team, and he's doing a great job. So, like, it would be devastating if he don't win Coach of the Year, bro. That'd be crazy.
Hey, who does Carter remind you of? Like, it's funny. I was talking about Ndamukong Suh a little bit without the craziness, although he's got a little that edge, which I love.
So yeah, he reminded me of Fletch with his first 2 years in the league. Do you remember how that was, bro? He was, Fletch. It wasn't that serious. Well, he was to go nuts just like that.
That's interesting.
And they had the stats are similar. The way they was rushing was similar. You could see a lot of that big ass chip on their shoulder. It was just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Let's go to the defense as a whole, because this thing is one of the reasons why they have a real good shot to 1 seed. They're 10 in a row. The defense coming, and nobody expected it, right? But the minute Quinyon and Cooper DeJean, I mean, they give you the back end. Zach Bond's been a machine. Nakobe has found himself. Nolan Smith has found himself. But if you go from back to front, Quinyon is locked down. Like, it truly is. You never see something like that.
He's going to need all our voice, because I feel like he should be in the defensive rookie of the year conversation. And the fact that it keeps getting ignored is pissing me off, because you're asking this guy to go on the island with some Pro Bowl receivers as a rookie. And next thing you know, they've been locked up. It's getting crazy. Like, yo. But I just feel like, him, cool. Like, these guys, they just complement each other so well. And the scary part is, they're young.
Yes. Yeah. Boy.
Yes. For some years to come.
Scary.
For some years to come. Yeah, it is.
I mean, with Cooper, Quinyon, Cooper, Nakobe, Nolan, Jalen. I mean, even Davis. What do you think of Davis? Like, he's flashing a little bit now. You're getting a little out of him.
He got no choice.
Yeah.
You got no choice. You don't want to be the guy come on Monday, Tuesday on film and you ain't flashing with the way that defense is playing. You don't want to be that guy. And I'm pretty sure, let's keep it real. I know Howie probably closed his door in the office and be moonwalking and stuff. Like, man, I'm telling you, he did a phenomenal job, bro. This shit crazy.
I love it. What do you think? I mean, obviously there's talent, right? Because all the young draft picks, and they're all kind of growing together. But from a scheme standpoint, give me the role of Fangio and how you view Fangio as the DC.
Let me tell you, I actually got a chance, maybe a couple months, like a month ago, 2 months ago, to talk to him. And this is right before the bye week. And I was like, yo, he about to figure everybody out. Like, each player. So watch if you go to the first couple games before the bye week to now, everybody's doing what they do best. When you can do that with players, oh, you a bad joker, man. You a bad man. Like you got it. Like, oh, everybody, like, okay, if you cover good, that's what you're gonna do. We're only gonna ask you to cover. If you do this good, and it's complimenting each other. It's complimenting each other. And that's why they're playing so fast. They're not even thinking out there. They're just going.
Yeah.
Them linebackers look so fast. It is insane. And when they come with bad intentions. They come to kill something.
I mean, that was the genius of Fangio, that he's able to look at a guy like Zach Baun and say, no, we're going to take him and we're going to make him a linebacker and put him in space. And it's just, I mean, he's just been flown to the ball. I mean, lost in everything. How dominant he's been. He's everywhere the ball is.
And I tell you what, man, people don't want to give this. The Eagles deserve their credit. The way they develop players.
Yeah,
you don't see that no more in the league.
Yeah, that's a great point.
The league give you 3 games. Oh, get them out. You know what I mean? Here, it's like, yo, man, we're gonna work with you, man. Try to do this. They're gonna throw every curveball at you to protect their investment, and then you're seeing some good football being played, man. That's crazy.
So how do you see Sunday, Washington? Now, first time they're going to play a team for the second time. What kind of adjustments? Like, what are you kind of seeing for Sunday?
So the biggest thing is, from a guy that actually been in that locker room down Washington, like they're gonna be fired up because it's a division game. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, like, when it's a division game like that, and Washington is looking for, I think, their 10th win. Like, this is a big game. So what you saw last week, the week before that, it's like they give you that playoff atmosphere because these are well talked about teams, and all they got to do is just keep their race steady. If the Eagles just go out and just play exactly how they've been playing, they'll be all right.
So I got to ask you before we get out of here, how's your son? Because Vinny and I both are crazy football dads.
He's out in the cold on Sunday mornings doing drills.
So last weekend we was down in Nationals. They lost, man. They came in like 4th place, but had an undefeated season. But he did good, man. We was down in Nationals. We lost down in Plant City.
Wow.
And it was a cool experience, though. Cool experience, but he was heartbroken. I said, man, you all right, man. You 7, man. You be all right, man. You get back in there. You know what I mean? But I love to see him, man, because he hate to lose, man. So a loser like me. So that I did something right.
You got a winner on your hands, man. You got a baller. 7 years old, QB.
And let me tell you,
7.
he watches all you guys, and he makes sure you guys do not say. Even if you say, I don't like the way Jalen wearing his sock, he'll get so mad. Bro, he is Jalen out. Like, you know what I mean? And he's like, man, I've never seen so many things that all Jalen do is win. I said, that's right, you're right. You know what I mean? And I say, do you think Jalen care about what people saying? No, as long as the wins keep adding up, that's the only thing that matters.
I love it. You know what we got to do? We got to do it where we got to get him on the show. All right.
Oh, he'll love that.
I got to do it. All right. I love this stuff. So we'll get you and your son, and we'll have a whole Jalen conversation. All right. That'll be great.
All right, man. Sounds like a plan to me.
I love it, Vinny.
Can I ask you, Vinny? While I get you here, I have 2 questions for you, real quick. Josh Allen hasn't been sacked in 4 games. If you're a defensive lineman going up against him, is that something you guys are determined? Is that on your head? Like you just want to get a piece of him?
You know what? I haven't had a good chance to really watch the Bills like I think I was looking, because it's crazy because he usually holds the ball and he runs around a little bit. So it was like I got to see who he played the last 4 games. You know what I mean? I have to really go in there and dive into that because now I got we're getting closer to the end of the season and they better get my boy Saquon that MVP. So I got to really look at who's in the race with him. They got him and Lamar in there, I believe.
Yep. And one more thing, as a player, if you were playing now, man, would they be able to get you to do a TikTok dance as a celebration after a big play or a score?
Nah, man. I'm some 6'4", 280. I don't think I'm gonna be shaking my hips and doing all that craziness they be doing, man. I can't get into that. I leave that to Noah and his crew. Like they do the TikTok dances, man. I can't do it. You know. Imagine me saying, come on, Flesh, let's go. Let's go do a TikTok. Or BG, let's go do a TikTok. They're gonna look at me like I'm crazy. Imagine me getting Jason Peters to do a TikTok. Man, you don't make beat out, you don't sit your ass down.
I love it. I love it. Vin, you're the best, buddy. We love you, man. Listen, Merry Christmas. You and your family, all right?
Happy holidays to y'all as well. Yes, sir.
My man, Vinny Curry. He's a blast. All right, time now for the Rite Aid back in the day moments.
We're going back. We're going back. We're going back in the day with Rite Aid. Yeah!
All right.
All right, guys.
Well, we got Frage.
I'm going to keep it on tap here since we've been talking about the best Eagles team in history. And I got something from the 1988 Eagles.
Nice.
Oh, you went back to the VG squad?
I went to a little VG spot here.
I love that squad too, man.
So
oh, my God.
This is actually when they won the division.
Man, that was good stuff. Poof.
If they would have kept Reggie, man.
I know. That's the owner, man.
Yep.
That owner was a loser.
Yep.
Norman Brayman killed us. Keith Jackson.
Yep.
It was a mass exodus. All right, speaking of exoduses, that's going to do it for us, everybody. Have a wonderful day. We love you, man. Hang in there. I know holidays around the corner. All right? Watch yourself. We'll see you in the morning.
Y'all silly like the mayor.